Again, thank you everyone for joining College Talk Tuesdays. We are excited to have everyone on the call today and for everyone that's able to watch the videos remotely. Today's presentation will be around choices for post-secondary education and exploring opportunities around community college, private institutions, public universities, and then we'll go into comparing the choices and things to consider when choosing. So I'll start off by introducing myself. My name is Jeff Sherman. I have the pleasure to work for Oregon State University with the Open Campus program. And I'll kick it over to Becky and then Ezekiel to introduce themselves as well.
All right, thanks, Jeff, and welcome everyone. My name's Becky Munn, and I'm an open campus coordinator in Crook County in Central Oregon.
I'm Ezekiel Lopez. I work as a program coordinator over in Washington County and Multnomah County.
Okay, so just broadly, when we're talking about our choices, when we're deciding on what we want to study after high school, there's some things to take into consideration. That's not only the financing part of it, which we will spend some time on, but it's also are you thinking about going to a community college, maybe not only for transfer, but maybe to study apprenticeships or a 2-year specific program, which Ezekiel will go into some in-depth examples of. Or maybe you're interested in a private institution that maybe has a smaller class size, but still has that 4-year focus. Becky will spend some time on that. And then a public institution, there are 7 in Oregon, and I'll spend some time going over what that could mean. There's also options around trade schools, apprenticeships, as well as maybe you just want to visit a school and find out what the vibe is. And for me, that was Oregon State University when I visited in high school. That was just the vibe that I knew I wanted. They took me out to visit the dairy, and I thought I wanted to study dairy cows. And so that was really the vibe I was looking for, and it presented that to me loud and clear. There's also programs of study. So we'll go through a little bit of this, but it's important to go through as you're looking for your school or where to go after high school is what they are able to offer you. So if you're going to come to Oregon State University to study forestry, that's probably a pretty good fit. But if you're coming to OSU to study something like nursing, maybe we aren't exactly the best fit for you. So, and then again, to look at cost, where they're located, if you're interested in moving far away from home or if you want to stay closer, and then again, just what opportunities might be presented. So with that high level overview, I'm going to kick it over to Ezekiel Lopez Reyes to talk about community colleges in Oregon.
As Jeff mentioned earlier, community college. Community college is a great option. And Jeff talked about a little bit about the university and how he went to Oregon State. Community college to me holds a big part of who I am, and it's near and dear to my heart. So I love community college. And I went to Portland Community College here in Washington and Multnomah County. In Oregon, there's roughly about 17 community colleges in an area, and a map will show up here in a little bit to show you some of those areas that do host a community college in their county. The nice thing about community college, it's approximately a third of the university, the cost of the university. So it's a lot nicer. It's a lot more cost effective if you're looking for something that, won't put you into a lot of debt before you move on to university. Community college is your option. Another selling point of the community college is smaller class sizes. So some of the class sizes at the community college are probably smaller than some of your high school classes. I checked, maybe some high school classes were maybe 35 students. Your average community college class size is between 25 to 30 students, which is nice, especially when it comes to meeting with your professor and communicating with them in class. So that's a nice selling point. Also, the application is super simple. I don't know if some of you have gone through the college applications or have done the Common App, but that is a lot of work to do those applications. So I've been through with my students, and it's a lot of work. And the community college application is very simple, very straightforward. You actually hear back from them within a day or two of submitting that application. So it's really nice to hear. Also, community colleges don't require SAT or ACT scores. There's no GPA requirement. So if you're thinking about going to the community college, please apply. It's super simple, very easy. And if you were like me, who probably didn't do so hot in high school and are thinking about maybe redeeming yourself or doing a little bit better, community college is your option. So I definitely recommend that. So here's the map that I alluded to a little bit. So you can see some of the areas that host a community college in the area. It's pretty much all around the state of Oregon. So there should be one close to you if you're looking at that. I like to tout Portland Community College because that's where I went to. It actually, probably one of the largest community colleges in the area, holds about 80,000 students between its 4 campuses and 2 satellite campuses in the area. So it's a really big campus that holds a lot of programs. All right. So some of you may think, well, community college is great. And it's probably nice if you want to use that as kind of a little bridge to university if you're thinking about going to university. I think especially in COVID, a lot of students maybe have turned to the community college as an option of not going to the university and not having in-person classes. So that's a big thought with a lot of people. However, community college does host a couple of really, not a couple, but a lot of good programs there. So as an example, I've put down like nursing, dental hygiene, dental assistance, radiology, auto repair, microtechnology as 2-year degrees, right? Just 2 years, you're done. So by 20 years old, so you're going at 18 and by 20, you could have a career already in one of these fields. But let me actually backtrack a little bit. And I wanted to highlight one program that I think is really great, dental assisting. Dental assisting is a great program for those students who are looking for a short program to get into. Our dental assisting program at PCC is extremely sought after by employers. We've got Willamette Dental, who actually constantly calls PCC asking for more students and what they could do to help to lure some of these students into a degree in dental assisting. And I kid you not, 100% of the graduates have jobs by the time they're done with their dental assisting program. So having a guaranteed job within 2 years of when you've graduated high school is pretty awesome. And it's really sweet. So I'd highly recommend looking at some of these programs because a lot of the programs at community colleges have a high job turnaround. So if you apply to the community colleges, you're more than likely going to have a job by the time you're done with one of those programs. But let's say maybe you're not looking at a 2-year degree. Maybe you want to do an apprenticeship or a trade program. We have HVAC training, electrical trades, facility maintenance, technology, and industrial mechanics. These are some great programs that lead to great jobs. I always tell students, if you're thinking about doing electrical trade, try one at PCC or at the community college you're after, because 1 year, you work after you're done, you get your training, you work as a journeyman for about a year or two. After that, you're an apprentice and you have a pretty solid career. So what I'm getting at is you don't necessarily have to go to the community college to go to university. You can be successful by doing a trade program or doing a 2-year program and you're done and you're on your own. Because I know there's a lot of people, especially me growing up, probably wanted to move out of the house sooner rather than later and wanted to be on their own 2 feet. So I definitely recommend looking at the community college and some of the programs that are offered in the area. Now, we talk about community college. What about funding? How do we pay for the community college? This is a big part of the conversations that I have with students all the time. I always talk about Oregon Promise. Oregon Promise is such an amazing program that covers a lot in just very simple terms. So what is the Oregon Promise? Oregon Promise is basically a grant that the state of Oregon created maybe 6 or 7 years ago, roughly, that helps students who complete their high school diploma here in Oregon. They have a 2.5 GPA. The Oregon Promise will pay up to 90 credits, which is roughly 2 years of a degree. So when I was talking about the dental assisting program is probably in that range of 80 to 90 credits. So if you qualify for the Oregon Promise, you're going to come out debt-free. And that is super awesome because like a lot of us, we actually have debt by the time that we're done with the university. So coming out debt-free is a great way to start off your career, not having to worry about paying back a loan or anything like that. That's a great opportunity for you. So I always recommend that students apply for Oregon Promise because it's something that's given to students as long as you have a 2.5 GPA. And another thing about this too is if you're undocumented or you're a DACA student, you qualify for Oregon Promise by filling out your ORSA. So that's another big thing. So if you know somebody who's undocumented or under DACA, you qualify for the Oregon Promise. So make sure that you apply because it does have a very, very sneaky deadline of June 1st, which a lot of you are probably in high school, finishing out your finals, and doing other things that are surrounded around senior, like graduation and whatnot. So make sure that you pay attention to that June 1st deadline, because Oregon Promise is something you don't want to slip through your fingers.
Thanks, Ezekiel. Community colleges and Oregon Promise are amazing opportunities for students to consider. Some other options to consider are the private universities. And I'm going to talk about some reasons that students might want to consider that. One thing about the private institutions are often they are smaller campuses and smaller class sizes. So for some students, that's really important. They want that smaller, more personal feel. Now, tuition at private institutions are more, but because they have large private donors funding the schools, there's often opportunities for large scholarships as well. So I know my daughter wanted that small environment, and in her case, she got a great scholarship. And then when it came time for the final option of her package that was offered, it still really was out of our reach. But again, because it was a small school, I was able to call the financial aid office and talk with them, and they were able to work with us personally. We had some changes in our finances. And when I talked to the office about that, within a couple of weeks, they were actually able to add $15,000 to her scholarship. So in the end, she was able to get enough scholarships from the private college that made the price of her attending what it would have been to go to the public university. So for her, that turned out to be an option that we could consider. And so you can call. I always encourage students to call those offices personally. Don't ever be afraid to reach out to the institutions and call them and ask your questions, because that's what they're there for. And often in our private institutions, they're really able to work with you. So I always encourage students, even though the prices initially do start out higher, don't rule it out. Apply for the colleges, apply for the scholarships, talk with them. It might turn out that that's an option for you and it makes it affordable. And so as Jeff mentioned earlier, there's just a different feel at every place. So I always like to encourage people that right now that's more difficult, but visit all the colleges and universities that you can. Visit everywhere, get the feel, see what you like, because there's not a one size fits all when it comes to your education. And as we're talking about tonight, there are so many different options that you'll find the one that's right for you. And in my own personal experience, I have an associate's degree from a community college, I have a bachelor's degree from a state university, and I have a master's degree from a private university. So I tried all three of them. I got a different degree at each one, and it's been fantastic. So I just really encourage you, don't rule out anything, because the option may work out for you. As you can see from our list here, we have a lot of private colleges and universities right here in Oregon. Some of them are connected to religious organizations, and then there's a connection to the university, but some are not. They offer bachelor's degrees, some offer graduate programs like business degrees, law degrees. So there's a lot of opportunities, different sizes, different options. So just be sure to check those all out and don't rule out anything.
Thanks, Becky. I will take just a few minutes and go over the public institutions in the state. So when we talk about the public universities, we're talking specifically about the Big Seven. So in the Big Seven, we have the Oregon Institute of Technology, which is primarily located in Klamath Falls, University of Oregon in Eugene, Oregon, Eastern Oregon University located out in La Grande, Western Oregon located in Monmouth, Southern Oregon University in Medford, Portland State University, obviously in Portland, and then our favorite, Oregon State University, located across the state, but our main campus is in Corvallis. We also have a branch campus in Bend and a new downtown Portland center, which we're also happy to highlight. But as Becky and Ezekiel and myself will all tell you, we have an office in every county in Oregon, and that's the OSU Extension Service, where we are primarily located for our work. Okay, so as I mentioned, out of those seven, you might find quite a few more options. So community colleges offer primarily two-year degrees and transfer degrees. Universities are going to be what we call baccalaureate or bachelor's bachelor's degree, master's degree, and doctorate, PhD, or advanced degrees. So you'll have, just because of that, you'll have many more options to choose from. And not every institution, not all 7, offer the same mix. So while we have engineering, you know, at OIT and OSU, you might not find the same level of engineering at Western or Eastern. So it's important to look at what you want to study and part of making your decision. There are lots of options for living in each of the 7 universities. So that is one thing, that we do have a robust university housing and dining service in each of these 7 universities. So if being a live-on student your first year or maybe beyond is something that you're really interested in, we would encourage you to take a look at the dorms or the Greek system or apartment complexes that come with being at one of these residential universities. And then there are also quite a bit more federal and state funds that are passed into these state colleges and universities through the FAFSA. So while there also might be some sticker shock from looking at the price of an Oregon State University degree, like Becky mentioned with the public or the private institutions, there's still a lot of financial aid that is offered to offset the costs of not only your tuition bill, but also just your cost of living in these maybe more expensive cities such as Corvallis. So to quickly highlight just some of the big picture as we're looking at what each of these institutions are about, OIT, or the Oregon Institute of Technology, again, is in Klamath Falls. University of Oregon in Eugene, another big institution similar to OSU in size. Eastern Oregon University, where I also have worked, calls themselves kind of Oregon's rural university. So, you know, when you're out in La Grande, for those of you that haven't been, you are, you know, just over 2.5 hours from the Idaho border. So this is a place out in Northeast Oregon where a lot of students might go to study a variety of different natural resource or ag-based. Interestingly enough, you can also get an OSU agriculture degree, an OSU natural resource degree from the La Grande Eastern Oregon University campus. Okay, and then we also have Southern Oregon University. I said Medford earlier, I meant Ashland. SOU has, while they have a smaller student population, they also have unique programs that are sought after highly by students in Oregon. Closer to Corvallis would be actually Monmouth, where Western Oregon University is located, and really well known for their education programs, criminal justice programs as well. And then Portland State University, which is located in downtown Portland near our OSU Portland Center, actually has also a large number of students, much like Oregon State University or University of Oregon, and offers a variety of degrees in a more urban setting. Okay, and then just to talk briefly about the Oregon State University main campus in Corvallis, while we do offer signature programs like agriculture, engineering, oceanography, forestry, robotics, we're well known for a lot of different programs. So students might want to look at us if they're interested in going into brewery science, for example. So if a student is interested in making beer, making wine, or if they're interested maybe in our food science program, which is tied to our beverage program, you might be interested in cheese making, which you can also do at OSU. So there are a lot of interesting degrees to explore as you go into any institution. And then the newest university campus in Oregon is actually located in Bend, which is our OSU Cascades campus. Again, a smaller size, so you have the brand name of a big university while getting that small class size. If you haven't been out to Bend to visit the OSU Cascades campus, it is incredibly beautiful. And we do have signature programs out there as well, including hospitality management, sustainability, tourism, recreation, and adventure leadership, and then the newest program, outdoor products. So what I hope we left you with were that there's an overwhelming amount of information about all of these institutions. And so in our conversation now, what we'd like to do is just provide a few tools to maybe help get your mind going about what careers you might explore, what college you might explore. And I think each of us would like to provide maybe just a quick little recap about a community college, a private institution, or a public university. So Ezekiel, I don't know if you wanted to kick off with maybe one quick point about why a student might look at a community college.
Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, remember that community college has a lot of different offerings. It's not just a bridge to go to the university. There's 2-year programs and trade and apprenticeship programs available there for you. So remember, if you want to have something done pretty easy and quick and done, I'd suggest community college. And remember, don't let anybody tell you that community college is less than the university. Community college is just as good.
And Becky, why should a student at least look into private universities and colleges?
Well, if they want that perhaps smaller environment, smaller campus, fewer students, smaller class size, it can be a great place to look at. And there's a lot of private donors. And so there's some good scholarships that you might be able to have. And the offices are smaller and you can really get a personal relationships with the people on campus.
And I'll make my final plug for public universities being a place where students might go and get that more traditional on-campus experience of living in a dorm, being part of a Greek system, or being able to study something as unique as cheese making. We would also encourage you, as you look at any of these institutions, to do some deep diving into what sort of resources that they provide that you would be able to connect with if you had more questions. And that's another reason for us to give you some ways and options for you to connect back to our teams. We have a variety of ways for you to contact us if you have questions, not only about OSU, but any college decision making